guys, that's like rabbits. Today we're going to be doing, well, she's gonna mostly be doing a Randy Cunningham thing. I'm gonna be over here finishing this, which some of you may remember from one of our first videos, and I still haven't worked on it since then, so it's been a while. I'm going to color. Okay. Randy Cunningham, ninth grade ninja. One of the things you can say about it is it stays fairly consistent. Until you come up against this one episode where Randy learns a lesson, but the lesson makes absolutely no sense if you continue thinking about it. Especially when compared to later episodes in those lessons. The lesson that doesn't make a lot of sense is...
Friendship is a weight the ninja cannot carry? Forget it, nomicon. That is all kinds of wrong.
The thing about that one is, unlike all the others, it doesn't get underlined. None of the words get underlined, and all it does is just slap one big red no sign on the ninja, putting his arm around the shoulder of a buddy. And the thing is, in slightly later episodes, and even those before it, the ninja was allowed to have friends.
When you use a friend, you gain an enemy.
It doesn't say the ninja can't have friends. But that lesson of the ninja cannot carry the weight of a friendship, that I think was misinterpreted quite often. And I think the reason, the main reason we think of why it wasn't underlined in particular is because it's a lesson very few ninjas have actually needed to learn. And frankly, when you look at Randy and Howard's relationship, you notice Randy, who is the ninja, is carrying most of the friendship. What would have made a whole lot more sense is if it had kept the lesson, but instead of slapping a big red no on it, it's showing the ninja just carrying a heavy load and the friend jumping onto his back carrying his own load. Pretty much carrying the weight of the friendship. And Randy did not learn his lesson in that episode. He learned a lesson, but it was not the lesson he was supposed to learn. Season 2 episode, when the episode, a ninja who relies on everybody cannot rely on himself for any. A ninja who relies on someone else for everything cannot rely on himself for anything. That was a better lesson to learn, in the fact that what it showed was that was kind of somewhat the reverse of the badly taught lesson, because the ninja's not supposed to carry the weight, nor is he supposed to drop all of his responsibilities. Because a friendship is supposed to be kind of is more of a partnership. Yeah, where you work together to carry each other's burdens. Yeah. And and you see throughout the entire show that Randy carries most of the burdens. He even complains about this in a couple of episodes. That he does all of the work, he does all, and and they spend all of his money doing things that Howard wants to do. Mm-hmm. Or on feeding Howard, or... Yeah, it's like... So, it's not exactly fair, is it? The lesson, a ninja cannot carry the weight of a friendship. That should have been worded somewhat differently. Like, maybe something along the lines of, a ninja must not carry the full weight of a friendship. Because Randy does, as the ninja, he has extremely heavy responsibilities. And Howard doesn't like him having responsibilities because it takes away from his feed me, give me attention moment at time. And because he's being forced, as the ninja, he's being forced to take care of other things that are more important than Howard. Howard gets really mad about it. That's why he's always, that's why he hates the nomicon.
Because Howard is selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Very selfish. As per our... Howard is a narcissist.
This, yeah. And frankly, it could have been done better. But I think
I think the writers
we're having a little trouble.
They had a blip.
They had a little bit of a blip during that one, and you could see it in the episode. Because every other episode, during the climax, the lesson pops up and even points at these specific things they were supposed to learn. That Randy's supposed to learn in the moment. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I did not understand it the first time. But in the episode, A Ninja Cannot Carry the Weight of a Friendship, it doesn't do that. As in, Randy never learned that lesson, and it was more of they weren't quite, not very few ninjas actually learned that one. So it's, and because of how the nomicon works, it's the older the lesson, the more details and whatnot in it. You can sort of tell.
The more often the lesson is learned,
the more detailed the surroundings get and whatnot. So there was probably the very first ninja actually had a best friend. So he wouldn't have gone, you can't have friends. Because he had a friend. His name was Plop Plop. Yeah, Plop was his friend, and he was his strongest ally. So why would he discourage the ninja having a friend? Unless, of course, that lesson is not about not having friends like Randy thought it was, but instead, not to carry the full weight and not to be the sole bearer of the friendship. Because when all you're doing is carrying the friendship, if you are the only one propping up the friendship building,
that's not good.
This is not good. The sound analogy you think of. Then technically it's not a friendship. That was mainly the only lesson Randy never truly learned.
I think it's because the lesson was presented so badly.
Yeah. Not only was it presented badly, but very few ninjas actually had to learn it, and therefore it didn't know how to present itself. That and Howard keeps drilling the idea into Randy's head that you feed me, I'm happy, we're both happy. And because of their relationship, it's going to crumble, and the nomicon knows that. It's going to crumble badly. It's not going to crumble, it's going to crash and burn very badly.
That is like, oh yeah, we kind of like to imagine that Julian is just like waiting for it to happen and crumble because then Randy will gain maturity. It will realize where he has gone wrong and grow in maturity and therefore be presentable for Teresa.
It makes a lot more sense. And frankly, you can see that Randy is, the more he acts like the ninja, and the more he gets away from Howard, the more he actually interacts with other people and actually learns how to be a real friend. He's had Bucky. Like a Bucky.
He's had to deal with Bucky.
It's like, and
yeah, it's like, Julian comes along and is like, he's all panicky and whatnot in the bathroom, and he's like,
stank coming up.
Yeah, he realizes he needs to calm him down. Because when Randy actually does his best as a person when he is not he's not spending time with Howard.
Yeah. He sucks Bucky. Yes, Randy does get jealous if Howard, if someone else is sucking up Howard's time. That's like burrowing down the house. Glad I remember the name of the episode. But in that same season, you see how Randy just kind of interacts with the other characters, and he even attempts to kind of befriend Bucky to a degree, and Julian and Who Not, and when he's not, and the nomicon knows full well that Howard is a danger. That's why it's trying to get him to have more allies, better friends. Defend the help the helpless, defend the defenseless. He can't do that when Howard is clinging to him. Leeching off of him. Howard, that lesson probably should have been more for Howard than it was for Randy. Due to the fact that Howard's not carrying any of the friendship. You see him burrowing down the house, Randy is just smacking the controls and going, "Howard, drop the fizz!" Even then, Howard doesn't put much effort into it.
When you see Howard doing it with Bucky, I think Bucky, just because his methodology is different from Randy's, he's focused, he is like hyper focused on his buttons that he
forgets Howard is sitting there.
So Howard has to pick up the slack.
Mm-hmm.
Randy's used to doing everything for Howard.
Yeah.
He even faces off against him with that very thing in the episode where Rachel obsessed over taking care of the ninjas. Like,
yeah.
Howard had to learn what could he do without Randy's help.
And apparently it was build an entire treehouse.
So there is a little bit of hope for Howard in the fact that if he, it's possible for him to get a job. He'd probably maybe apprentice
construction worker.
Yeah, he could get a job as a construction worker. Like, that's the hope he has to look for in the future. It's the only way he's getting out of his parents' basement.
And frankly, the only way that's going to happen is if Randy and Howard split. And the nomicon knows that.
I mean, I also imagine Julian just like sitting out in the background going, "If their relationship doesn't dissolve naturally, I'm just going to murder Howard. Just to get him out of the way."
Julian would probably have no problem.
I don't know. It's like, that's what we imagine Julian is thinking.
Yeah, so that's more or less what I got. But if you have any ideas, comments,
another lesson,
other theories about other shows and whatnot that we could talk about, we might
just
think about.
Please talk to us.
Please.
YouTube won't push us won't put us near the top of the algorithm if it doesn't.
Please comment.